So this is chapter 11, axial muscles. And as always, consult your study guide to determine exactly which muscles, actions, and attachments that you must know. Though they're all in these videos, but still, you should definitely be looking at your study guide as you go through this. As an overview, let's start with the attachments that are available. The bones in the axial skeleton, pretty straightforward, include skull, vertebrae, and ribs. However, there are a couple instances where these axial muscles will attach to, say, the pelvis or the clavicle. Those are kind of like anchor points. They're not actually moving those bones. They only move the axial bones. You're only going to be able to move our skull, our vertebral column or torso, and our ribs. We're going to move up and down. In regards to attachments, it's also important to understand this concept of origin and insertion. So when we learn um, appendicular muscles, muscles of the limb, the attachments were proximal and distal. So we can't use those same terms, proximal and distal, with regards to the axial skeleton because there is no proximal and distal. That only applies to appendicular parts of your body. So instead, origin is the bone that does not move. So those are like our anchor points. And then the insertion is the bone that moves. Review of movements. Let's start with facial expression. Actually, let's not start with that. Let's just put a pin in that because we're going to get to the specific muscles and facial expression that you're going to need to know. Mandible. Remember, the mandible can elevate or depress. So, elevate would be close your mouth, and depress would be open your mouth. When we talk about these muscles, for the most part, it's going to be actually entirely all the muscles we're going to learn are going to be elevators. And the other way that you could think of this is mastication, which is our fancy word for chewing. Head. You can flex or extend your head. You can rotate it. And remember, we're going to rotate either left or right. Those are our two options because remember, all movements come in pairs. And then laterally flex. Laterally flex would be like if I took my head and bent it this way towards my ear. And you can laterally flex either left or right. Those are our two pairs, or our single pair. Sorry, two movements, single pair. Torso is basically the same. I'll get rid of this other scroll. Is the same actually as your head. You can do the exact same set of movements. Respiration, which we really haven't talked about in this class yet. Your options are inhale and exhale. These are other terms, alternative terms, inspiration and expiration. I am fine with just using inhale and exhale, but be aware that you might see those other terms sometimes.